From what we can tell, this helicopter went down in the central eastern province of the country. This area has been a long restive and violent area, and we've seen an uptick in violence from Taliban insurgent attacks throughout the region, both in the east and in the south. From what we can tell, a NATO helicopter carrying U.S. Special Forces and 7 Afghans were traveling in this region when they came under fire from Taliban insurgents. From Taliban sources that we've spoken to, in addition to local sources on the ground, it appears that these insurgents fired rocket-propelled grenades, which in effect had downed this NATO helicopter. Now, again, the U.S. military here in Afghanistan is being very tight-lipped in terms of their detailed accounts of what transpired. They will say that this helicopter went down. They will confirm that insurgents were in the area. However, some of the other information we're getting is from local sources. So again, a lot of violence here today in Afghanistan, and perhaps the deadliest day for U.S. soldiers since the war began in 2001.
Yeah, I don't know how much to read into this, and cut me off if I'm stretching, but Taliban forces took down a Chinook helicopter, what, 2 weeks ago? Now another helicopter is down by the Taliban. Russian forces had to leave Afghanistan in part because the Mujahideen they were facing got so adept at bringing down their helicopters. Did the Taliban just get lucky 2 weeks in a row, or is there something more worrying going on here?
It's a good question. It's hard to say. The Taliban and troops in this area certainly have a history of fighting off foreign helicopters with shoulder-mounted weapons. The question of where those weapons come from is a particularly interesting question, and it opens up a range of discussion. What we see, though, is that it's sort of an uptick in some of these areas by use of these weapons. Like you mentioned, a NATO helicopter was down just last month. Fortunately, in that incident, no one was killed. This incident is not certainly the case. Now, again, what we have to make mention of is that this comes at a critical moment of transition, just as NATO forces are beginning to draw down and handing over security to local and national forces. The question then remains, can local and national forces really take on a resurgent Taliban if that's what we're looking at?